You might think you know where this story is going, but trust me, you don't. What started as a simple favor, a ride from my teacher, quickly spiraled into something far more complicated. I never expected this innocent gesture to lead me into a whirlwind of desire, confusion, and unspoken promises. But here I am, caught in a situation I never imagined. The truth is, once we allow curiosity to take over, it can open doors we never thought we'd walk through. But be warned, once that door is open, there's no going back. Before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button, leave a comment below with your thoughts, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a twist in this crazy journey. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. So let's get into it, the ride that changed everything. I never imagined that a simple act of kindness could place me in such an unsettling situation. After a heavy storm, I found myself stranded, with no Uber available, and then Professor Ricardo appeared. Known for his discretion, he seemed like a figure of trust. What should have been just a ride home quickly turned into something more, something I still couldn't understand. The silence in the car was heavy, but not from the storm that was passing outside. It was a tension, an energy that hung between us, unspoken. Only the sound of the engine and the rain. I felt his presence more strongly than ever. And somehow I knew something was about to happen. The headlights cut through the darkness as he drove with unnerving calmness, as if he knew exactly what he was doing. Every move he made, every word he spoke, seemed calculated, like there was a strategy at play. He wasn't just a professor giving me a ride. He was someone who seemed to understand the power of silence and suggestion. I felt something stir inside me, a subtle but undeniable desire. I had been with my fiancé for 3 years, but there, in the back seat of Ricardo's car, everything felt different. A quiet unease took over me, as if he knew he was leading me down a path I never imagined I'd follow. The car passed by several familiar points, but he didn't take the usual turn. No, he was diverting. The sound of the indicator was almost like a warning, but my body didn't react like it should have. Something within me urged me to stay silent. Ricardo's soft voice pulled me from my thoughts. "I want to show you something," he said, and in that moment, I knew nothing would be the same. The silence in the car grew heavier, and suddenly, the familiar didn't feel safe anymore. I found myself lost in the situation, not knowing if I was being led by something good or a trap disguised as kindness. He stopped the car abruptly at a viewpoint. The place was empty, the city far away, covered by the fog of the night. I could have said something, I could have questioned him, but what I really wanted was to understand what was happening. I was completely absorbed, almost hypnotized by the situation. Ricardo looked at me with an enigmatic smile, but I knew he was just getting started. Everything I did was to perceive, to absorb, and to try to control the whirlwind of emotions he had awakened. What was behind that smile? I didn't know yet, but one thing was certain. Whatever it was, I was about to find out. It's strange how someone can make you feel like you're the only person in the world with just a glance, a compliment, a lingering pause. That's exactly how it felt with Ricardo. He never touched me, but every word he spoke, every look he gave, was as if he were slowly and carefully weaving an invisible thread between us. At first, I convinced myself it was nothing, that I was just imagining things, that he was just being friendly. But then it hit me. His presence wasn't just calm. It was calculated. The way he complimented me on my dress, the way his gaze lingered just a little longer than necessary. Could I be reading into it? Or was this something more? I had been with my fiancé for 3 years, and though we loved each other, There were times when I couldn't help but feel neglected. We had settled into a comfortable routine, but comfort wasn't always enough. And there, with Ricardo, something stirred within me that I hadn't felt in a long time. He wasn't just the professor I had known for years. No, he was someone else now. His care seemed too intentional, too calculated, too perfect. I found myself questioning everything I thought I knew. Was I really feeling what I thought I was? Or was I simply desperate for attention, for something that my fiancé wasn't giving me? I tried to dismiss it, telling myself that nothing would ever come of this, that I was just caught in a moment of weakness. But deep down, a part of me didn't want to let go of the thought of what might happen. The tension was there, thick in the air, and it was only growing with every passing second. The way he looked at me, the way he spoke, made me feel seen in a way I hadn't felt in years. I didn't want to admit it, but I couldn't deny it. I was being pulled in. What happened next felt inevitable. I tried to ignore the growing attraction, try to stay focused on my thoughts and my life, but the more I resisted, the stronger it seemed to become. It was as though I were walking a tightrope, caught between the safety of the known and the magnetic pull of the unknown. And I didn't know if I was ready to fall, but I couldn't help but wonder, if I did, would I even be able to catch myself? The moment Ricardo turned the steering wheel and headed off the familiar path, I felt a jolt of uncertainty. It wasn't like him to veer off course, and I couldn't help but feel a chill run down my spine. "Where are we going?" I asked, my voice trembling slightly, though I tried to hide it. His calm smile never faltered as he responded, "I want to show you something." His voice was low, steady, almost like a promise I wasn't sure I wanted to accept. The tension that had been building between us seemed to intensify in that moment, and I could feel every muscle in my body tightening as the car continued down the unfamiliar road. As the city lights faded behind us and the night grew darker, I realized that I was no longer in control of the situation. The further we drove, the more I began to feel like I was falling into a story I didn't know how to navigate. We passed houses, trees, and open fields, but none of it looked familiar. It felt like we were heading into the unknown, and every turn he took seemed to pull me deeper into this uncharted territory. The silence in the car was suffocating, but it was the kind of silence that spoke louder than any words ever could. What did he want to show me? What was waiting for me at the end of this detour? When he finally stopped the car, I barely noticed the view at first. All I could focus on was the way the world had shifted around us, how everything had become so different, so dangerous. Ricardo's eyes met mine, and I saw something in them that I hadn't seen before. Something darker, something more intense. "This is it," he said softly. "This is what I wanted you to see." His words were loaded, and I couldn't help but wonder what kind of game he was playing. I had come here willingly, but now I felt like I was teetering on the edge of something I couldn't control. The silence of the night surrounded us, and for a moment, everything seemed suspended in time. I felt as though I were standing at the edge of a cliff, staring down at the abyss, unsure if I should step forward or retreat. But something inside me kept me rooted to the spot, unable to move, unable to speak. Ricardo's presence felt like a magnetic force, drawing me in, and I realized that the path I was on had already been set in motion. There was no going back now, and I couldn't help but wonder, would I ever be the same again? The tension in the air was palpable as Ricardo and I sat in the car, the city lights barely visible in the distance. He was about to say something, I could feel it. He opened his mouth, but before the words left his lips, his phone rang. It felt like time stopped for a second as he answered the call, his voice calm but distant. I sat there, frozen, caught between confusion and curiosity, trying to make sense of what had just happened. He ended the call quickly, turned to me, and smiled. But there was something unsettling in that smile. It wasn't the kind of smile you share with a friend. No, this one was charged, full of intent. "We'll talk later," he said, his voice almost a whisper. As I left the car, my mind was spinning. What had he wanted to say? What was the unspoken proposition that hung between us, like a thread waiting to snap? I could still feel the heat of his gaze on me, even though he was miles away. I couldn't shake the feeling that something had shifted, that I had crossed a line I didn't even know existed. The car door closed behind me, and the silence of the night seemed to engulf me. I had never felt more conflicted, more unsure of what I wanted or what I was becoming. But the moment wasn't over. When I got home, I tried to push it all out of my mind. But then, hours later, I received a message from him. "We need to finish what we started." My heart skipped a beat, and I swear I could feel my breath catch in my throat. Was he talking about that night? Was he talking about something more? The words lingered in the air, charged with something I couldn't define. I stood there, staring at my phone, unable to respond, unable to process. What did he mean? What was I supposed to do with this now? I couldn't escape the message, no matter how hard I tried. It kept echoing in my mind, pulling me deeper into a spiral of uncertainty and desire. I was caught in a trap of my own making, unsure of how to proceed, unsure of what I even wanted anymore. The line between curiosity and infidelity seemed to blur, and I couldn't tell if I was walking toward a forbidden path or simply falling down an unmarked road. But one thing was certain, I couldn't ignore it anymore. Whatever this was, it was only just beginning. So, what do you do when you're faced with a choice you never saw coming? When everything you thought you knew about yourself, about loyalty, and about desire is suddenly thrown into question? This story isn't just about what happened to me. It's about the choices we all make in moments of vulnerability and how those choices can change everything. What if you're on the edge right now, teetering between what's familiar and what feels like temptation? The truth is, the hardest part is often realizing that the choice is in your hands. Will you walk away, or will you step into the unknown? Think about it. The emotions, the desires, the confusion, it's all a part of the human experience. So, what would you do if you were in my shoes? Would you listen to that voice urging you to stay, or take a leap into something you never thought possible? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to hit subscribe and activate the bell to keep learning more about these life-changing moments. There's so much more to come, and I want you to be part of it.